Aretha Louise Franklin was born on March 25, 1942 and died on August 16, 2018. She was an American singer and pianist. She began her career as a child singing gospel at New Bethel Baptist Church in Detroit, Michigan, where her father, C.L. Franklin, was minister. In 1960, at the age of 18, she embarked on a secular career, recording for Columbia Records but achieving only modest success. After signing to Atlantic Records in 1967, Franklin achieved commercial acclaim and success with songs such as Respect, Chain of Fools, Think, You Make Me Feel Like, A Natural Woman, Don't Play That Song, You Lied, and Spanish Harlem. By the end of the 1960s she was being called the Queen of Soul. Franklin recorded acclaimed albums such as I Never Loved a Man the Way I Love You, 1967, Lady Soul, 1968, Young, Gifted and Black, 1972, and Amazing Grace, 1972, before experiencing problems with her record company by the mid-1970s. After her father was shot in 1979, she left to Atlantic and signed with Arista Records, finding success with the albums Jump to It, 1982, and Who's Zoomin' Who? 1985, and her part in the 1980 film The Blues Brothers. In 1998, Franklin received international acclaim for singing the opera aria Nessun dorma at the Grammy Awards that year, replacing Luciano Pavarotti. Later that year, she scored her final top 40 song with A Rose Is Still a Rose. Franklin recorded 112 charted singles on Billboard, including 77 Hot 100 entries, 17 top 10 pop singles, 100 R&B entries and 20 number 1 R&B singles, becoming the most charted female artist in the chart's history. Franklin's other well-known hits include Rocksteady, Jump to It, Freeway of Love, Who's Zoomin' Who, Until You Come Back to Me, That's What I'm Gonna Do, Something He Can Feel, I Knew You Were Waiting for Me, with George Michael, and a remake of the Rolling Stones song Jumpin' Jack Flash. She won 18 Grammy Awards, including the first 8 awards given for Best Female R&B Vocal Performance, from 1968 through to 1975, and is one of the best-selling musical artists of all time, having sold more than 75 million records worldwide. Franklin received numerous honors throughout her career, including a 1987 induction into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, becoming the first female performer to be inducted. She was inducted to the UK Music Hall of Fame in 2005. In August 2012, she was inducted into the GMA Gospel Music Hall of Fame. Franklin is listed in at least 2 all-time lists on Rolling Stone magazine, including the 100 Greatest Artists of All Time, and the 100 Greatest Singers of All Time. Aretha Louise Franklin was born at 406 Lucy Avenue, Memphis, Tennessee, to Barbara, née Siggers, and Clarence Lavaughn C.L. Franklin. Her father was a Baptist minister and circuit preacher originally from Shelby, Mississippi, while her mother was an accomplished piano player and vocalist. Her parents both had children, 3 in total, from outside their marriage. The family relocated to Buffalo, New York, when Aretha was 2. Before her 5th birthday, in 1946, C.L. Franklin permanently relocated the family to Detroit, Michigan, where he took over the pastorship of New Bethel Baptist Church. Aretha's parents had a troubled marriage due to stories of her father's philandering, and in 1948, the couple separated, with Barbara relocating back to Buffalo with her son, Vaughn, from a previous relationship. Just after her mother's death, Franklin began singing solos at New Bethel, debuting with the hymn, Jesus, Be a Fence Around Me. When Franklin was 12, her father began managing her, bringing her on the road with him during his so-called gospel caravan tours for her to perform in various churches. He helped his daughter sign her first recording deal with JVB Records, where her first album, Songs of Faith, was released in 1956. Franklin sometimes traveled with the Soul Stirrers during this time. In 1958, Franklin and her father traveled to California, where she met Sam Cooke. At the age of 16, Franklin went on tour with Dr. Martin Luther King, Jr. and in 1968 sang at his funeral. By 1964, Franklin began recording more pop music, reaching the top 10 on the R&B chart with the ballad Run Out of Fools in early 1965. She had two R&B charted singles in 1965 and 1966 with the songs One Step Ahead and Cry Like a Baby, while also reaching the easy listening charts with the ballads You Made Me Love You and No, No, I'm Losing You. By the mid-1960s, Franklin was netting $100,000 from countless performances in nightclubs and theaters. Also during that period, she appeared on rock and roll shows such as Hollywood A Go-Go and Shindig. However, she struggled with commercial success while at Columbia. Label executive John H. Hammond later said he felt Columbia did not understand Franklin's early gospel background and failed to bring that aspect out further during her period there. In November 1966, after 6 years with Columbia, Franklin chose not to renew her contract with the company and signed to Atlantic Records. In January 1967, she traveled to Muscle Shoals, Alabama, to record at Fame Studios and recorded the song, I Never Loved a Man, The Way I Love You, backed by the Muscle Shoals rhythm section. Franklin only spent 1 day recording at Fame, as an altercation broke out between manager and husband Ted White, studio owner Rick Hall, and a horn player, and sessions were abandoned. The song was released the following month and reached #1 on the R&B chart, while also peaking at #9 on the Billboard Hot 100, giving Franklin her first top 10 pop single. The song's B-side, Do Right Woman, Do Right Man, reached the R&B Top 40, peaking at #37. In April, Atlantic issued her frenetic version of Otis Redding's Respect, which shot to #1 on both the R&B and pop charts. Respect became her signature song and was later hailed as a civil rights and feminist anthem. In 1980, after leaving Atlantic Records, Franklin signed with Clive Davis's Arista Records and that same year gave a command performance at London's Royal Albert Hall in front of Queen Elizabeth. Franklin also had an acclaimed guest role as a waitress in the 1980 comedy musical The Blues Brothers. Franklin's first Arista album, Aretha 1980, featured the #3 R&B hit United Together and her Grammy-nominated cover of Otis Redding's I Can't Turn You Loose. The follow-up, 1981's Love All the Hurt Away, included her famed duet of the title track with George Benson, while the album also included her Grammy-winning cover of Sam and Dave's Hold On, I'm Comin'. Franklin achieved a gold record, for the first time in 7 years, with the 1982 album Jump to It. The album's title track was her first top 40 single on the pop charts in 6 years. According to Richie Unterberger, Franklin was one of the giants of soul music, and indeed of American pop as a whole. She was praised for her arrangements and interpretations of other artists' hit songs. Describing Franklin's voice as a youngster on her first album, Songs of Faith, released in 1956 when she was just 14, Jerry Wexler explained that it was not that of a child but rather of an ecstatic hierophant. She died at 76 years old.